Every year, hundreds of people attempt something that seems almost impossible. They try to escape one of the most secretive and tightly controlled countries in the world, North Korea. For most people living inside the country, the outside world is a mystery, a place they have only heard about through rumors or whispers. Many have never seen foreign movies, never used the open internet, and never traveled beyond their own province. The government controls nearly every aspect of daily life: what people watch, what they read, where they go, and sometimes even what they think. Leaving the country without permission is considered treason. The punishment can be severe. If someone is caught trying to escape, they may be sent to labor camps. Some are imprisoned for years. Others simply disappear. And the consequences often do not stop with the person who tried to escape. In North Korea, entire families can be punished for the actions of one individual. Parents, children, even distant relatives. Despite these dangers, every year people still try to flee. They cross frozen rivers in the middle of the night. They walk for days through deserts and mountains. They hide from police and traffickers while traveling across foreign countries. Some make it to freedom. Many never do. This is a story of how people escape North Korea and the extraordinary risks they take in search of freedom. North Korea is one of the most isolated nations on Earth. For decades, the country has remained largely cut off from the rest of the world. The government tightly controls information. Foreign news is blocked. Internet access is extremely limited. Most citizens can only access a state-controlled network that contains approved content. Televisions and radios are often fixed government channels, so they cannot easily receive foreign broadcasts. State propaganda plays a major role in daily life. Schools teach children that their country is strong and prosperous, while the outside world is dangerous and hostile. Leaders are portrayed almost like heroic figures who protect the nation from enemies. But behind the propaganda, many North Koreans live in difficult conditions. Economic opportunities are limited. Food shortages have occurred at different times in the country's history. In rural areas especially, families sometimes struggle to survive. Travel within the country is also restricted. To move between cities or provinces, citizens often need official permission. Without it, they risk arrest. The government maintains control through a vast security network. Neighborhood units monitor residents and report suspicious activity. Informants may exist in workplaces, schools, or even within communities. This constant surveillance creates an atmosphere of fear and caution. People learn quickly that speaking openly about problems can be dangerous. And yet, despite all these restrictions, information from the outside world still finds ways to slip through. Smuggled USB drives, illegal radio broadcasts, stories from traders who travel near the Chinese border. These small glimpses of the outside world can change everything. For some people, they spark a dangerous question. What if life could be different? North Korea is one of the most isolated nations on Earth. For decades, the country has remained largely cut off from the rest of the world. The government tightly controls information. Foreign news is blocked. Internet access is extremely limited. Most citizens can only access a state-controlled network that contains approved content. Televisions and radios are often fixed government channels, so they cannot easily receive foreign broadcasts. State propaganda plays a major role in daily life. Schools teach children that their country is strong and prosperous, while the outside world is dangerous and hostile. Leaders are portrayed almost like heroic figures who protect the nation from enemies. But behind the propaganda, many North Koreans live in difficult conditions. Economic opportunities are limited. Food shortages have occurred at different times in the country's history. In rural areas especially, families sometimes struggle to survive. Travel within the country is also restricted. To move between cities or provinces, citizens often need official permission. Without it, they risk arrest. The government maintains control through a vast security network. Neighborhood units monitor residents and report suspicious activity. Informants may exist in workplaces, schools, or even within communities. This constant surveillance creates an atmosphere of fear and caution. People learn quickly that speaking openly about problems can be dangerous. And yet, despite all these restrictions, information from the outside world still finds ways to slip through. Smuggled USB drives, illegal radio broadcasts, stories from traders who travel near the Chinese border. These small glimpses of the outside world can change everything. For some people, they spark a dangerous question. What if life could be different? If someone decides to escape North Korea, geography immediately becomes their greatest challenge. The country is surrounded by heavily guarded borders. To the south lies South Korea. Technically, the two nations are still at war. Separating them is a demilitarized zone, often called the DMZ. Despite its name, the DMZ is one of the most militarized borders in the world. Barbed wire fences stretch for kilometers. Guard towers monitor the landscape. Thousands of landmines are buried across the terrain. Both sides maintain military forces along the border. Crossing the DMZ is extremely dangerous, and very few people have successfully escaped this way. Another possible route is by sea. But North Korea's coastline is heavily patrolled by naval forces. Fishing boats and coastal surveillance systems monitor the waters. A small wooden boat attempting to cross the sea risks detection, storms, and dangerous ocean currents. Because of these obstacles, most defectors do not attempt to escape directly to South Korea. Instead, they look north. North Korea shares a long border with China, marked mostly by two rivers, the Yalu River and the Tumun River. In certain areas, these rivers become shallow enough to cross. During winter, parts of them freeze completely. This creates a narrow window of opportunity. Under the cover of darkness, some defectors attempt to cross the frozen water. But even here, the risks remain enormous. North Korean border guards patrol these areas constantly. Spotlights scan the riverbanks at night. If guards suspect someone is attempting to escape, they may open fire without warning. Yet despite the danger, the Chinese border remains the most common path to freedom. But crossing the river is only the beginning of the journey. Reaching China does not mean safety. In fact, for many North Korean defectors, the most dangerous part of their journey begins after they cross the border. China does not officially recognize North Korean escapees as refugees. Instead, they are often considered illegal migrants. If Chinese authorities capture a North Korean defector, they may deport them back to North Korea. This process is called repatriation. For defectors, being sent back can have devastating consequences. North Korean authorities treat returnees as traitors. They may face interrogation, imprisonment, or forced labor. Because of this, defectors living in China must remain extremely cautious. Many hide in rural areas or move frequently between safe houses. Some rely on underground networks that help refugees travel secretly through the country. These networks often involve brokers who arrange transportation, forge documents, or guides. But these services are rarely free. Defectors must pay large sums of money, sometimes thousands of dollars. And sadly, not every broker can be trusted. Some exploit desperate refugees for profit. Others are connected to human trafficking networks that target vulnerable individuals, especially women. For defectors without money or connections, surviving in China can become an exhausting and dangerous struggle. One of the darkest realities faced by many North Korean defectors in China is human trafficking. In border regions, criminal networks sometimes prey on vulnerable refugees who have no legal protection. Many defectors arrive in China without money, identification, or a safe place to stay. Traffickers exploit this situation. They may promise jobs, shelter, or transportation to safer areas. But the reality can be far more sinister. Some women are sold into forced marriages in rural villages where there is a shortage of brides. Others are forced into labor or exploitation. These victims often have limited ways to seek help. Because they are undocumented migrants, reporting crimes to authorities could lead to their deportation. This creates a situation where traffickers operate with relatively little risk. Despite these dangers, many defectors still attempt to escape China and continue their journey toward countries where they can seek asylum. For them, China is only a temporary stop. The ultimate goal is usually South Korea. But reaching it requires crossing thousands of kilometers through unfamiliar territory. After reaching China, defectors often begin a long and complicated journey across Asia. Some travel south through countries like Vietnam, Laos, or Thailand. Others attempt to reach Mongolia by crossing the vast Gobi Desert. These routes can take months or even years to complete. Along the way, refugees must avoid police checkpoints, immigration authorities, and criminal groups. They rely on guides, secret contacts, and underground support networks. Travel conditions can be extremely difficult. Some defectors walk for days through forests or mountains. Others hide in trucks, trains, or small vehicles while crossing borders. Food and water may be scarce. Weather conditions can be harsh, especially in remote areas like the Gobi Desert. During the day, temperatures may climb to extreme levels. At night, they can drop below freezing. For refugees already exhausted from years of hardship, these conditions push their physical and mental limits. But the promise of freedom keeps them moving forward. Many know that if they turn back, they may never get another chance. So they keep walking, step by step, kilometer by kilometer, toward a future they have never seen, but desperately hope exists. For those who finally reach countries like Thailand or Mongolia, the journey begins to change. These governments sometimes allow North Korean defectors to contact South Korean authorities. South Korea has a policy of granting citizenship to most North Korean refugees. But before defectors can settle into their new lives, they must go through a long process. They are interviewed by intelligence officials to confirm their identities and ensure they are not spies. After that, many spend several months in special training centers. They learn about life in a modern market economy. They practice using technology such as smartphones, computers, and ATMs. They also receive education about South Korean culture and society. For people who have spent their entire lives in North Korea, the transition can be overwhelming. Modern cities filled with bright lights, busy streets, and advanced technology may feel like an entirely different world. Some defectors struggle to adapt, but many eventually build new lives. They attend universities, start businesses, or become activists who speak about human rights in North Korea. Their journeys serve as powerful reminders of the resilience of the human spirit. Today, thousands of North Korean defectors live in South Korea and other parts of the world. Each one has a unique story. Some journeys lasted months. Others took many years. Many involved unimaginable risks. But behind every story lies the same powerful motivation: the desire for freedom. Freedom to travel. Freedom to speak. Freedom to live without fear. For those who successfully escape, the journey does not simply end when they reach a new country. It continues as they rebuild their lives, reconnect with lost family members, and adapt to a completely new society. Their courage and determination remind us that even in the most restrictive environments, hope can survive. And sometimes hope is strong enough to cross borders, rivers, deserts, and mountains, all in search of a better life.